Ever since I reviewed this watch from Nivada, the Antarctic 3.6.9, everyone's been asking me, Pete, when are you going to get the black version, the one without the tropic dial, the one with the standard white lume? We'd love to see a comparison, see what you think of that watch. What, you mean this one? Well, I'm going to share some stuff with you guys today because this black one, for me, it's not as exciting as the tropic dial. However, I liken it to the Rolex Explorer. It's practical, it's functional, but it's also bland and boring.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
I've got to be straight up front, I really like this watch. In fact, I shared a video and I encourage you guys watch that video because this watch here, it's left an impression on me. And I mean everything that I said in that review because in different lighting situations outside when the sun comes out, this watch is spectacular. It's just beautiful to look at, great to wear. I can't praise it high enough. It has got a couple of gripes which I did share in that video, but overall a very good, very practical, very beautiful looking watch. With the aging chemicals that Nivada have used on that dial, it's given the watch a tropic effect and heaps of character. And now they've sent this watch in for review, and it's the exact same watch, however, with a black dial and with no vintage effect. And I've got to be honest, the experience on the wrist has been just as good, just as comfortable, obviously being the same watch, the same footprint, albeit I've asked them to spec this particular one with a different bracelet. As you can see, I've got the Force and the Rivet bracelet as compared to the beads of rice. Now, full disclosure, the watch has been sent to the channel without the need for it to be returned. However, in saying that, I'm going to try to be as objective as possible and tell you what I did like and didn't like about this watch. And looking at the specifications of the watch, it hasn't changed. As far as its case dimensions, height, it's the exact same case. The crown's the same at 5.3mm, the watch still offers 100 meters of water resistance. The only thing that has changed is the weight. This particular one comes in at 104 gram size to my 18cm wrist on this Force and Rivet bracelet as compared to the beads of rice, which was 122 grams. And looking at the overhead, as you can see, the footprint is beautiful, 38mm. It sits exactly the same as the Tropic. Really nice experience, a very neutral experience. Being a black dial with white markers and Arabics. It's clean, it's pure, practical, and dare I say a little bit on the bland side. Now that height hasn't changed, and having this particular bracelet, which is basically 16.7mm all the way down, it's been a real comfortable experience and also lighter. Almost 20 grams lighter than the beads of rice. And I've got to be honest, the look is actually quite nice. I think it suits this watch, especially that case shape. It seems to accentuate the lug design of this watch. So in that regard, well done. Now speaking of that bracelet, one of the qualms that I did have from this is it's got screw pins, as you can see, one there and one there, and you have to have two screwdrivers to actually remove links. The only thing that I can recommend with this is a lot of patience. It really requires a lot of patience to get it right so you don't do any damage. But apart from that, the comfort, the flex, the vintage feel has been really good. And when I say vintage feel, you can see you've still got a press clasp on this. 6 micro adjustments. There's been no real issues. I know a few people complained maybe on the fly micro adjustability, but I don't think that's what Nivada is going for here. You've got more of a vintage feel. This is a watch that emulates something that was back in the 50s. It's commemorating the trip of the US Navy to Antarctica back in the 1950s. So these watches have come back to life because they've got some historical significance. And in that regard, again, well done. Now, one thing I must mention, when I did the review of the Tropic dial, a few people complained saying that they had ordered a watch from Nivada and it took forever to get there. A month later or so forth. And my response to that was when I did the review of this, when they contacted me to actually do this watch review, I said yes, they sent the watch down, it was here within 5, maybe 6 days. However, in saying that, when they contacted me to do the review of this, I said yes, it's taken just over a month to get here. So there is obviously a backlog, there is obviously a high demand in these watches. And at the time of this review, as I'm recording right now, I checked on their website and this is sold out. In fact, this is sold out as well. So they're going to restock, but whatever the case, I'm putting the review up there for you guys so you can have a look and an understanding the differences between these two watches and how they compare. Now moving away from that, Looking at the case back of this watch, as you can see, it features the same case back with that Antarctic expedition. Beautiful, nice touch there. I really enjoyed it on the other watch. I'm enjoying it on this one. And behind that case back sits the Soprod P024 automatic, basically a clone of an ETA 2824. And with this particular watch here, I have a small gripe. For some reason, this one's running at minus 22 seconds per day, which to me, for a Soprod, ideally it should be a little bit tighter tolerances than that. And I only say that because this one here is running at a real high accuracy. It gains about 4, potentially 5 seconds in 7 days. It's less than 1 second a day. And that's impressive. And I suppose I was expecting the same from this one, and running at minus 22 is a bit of a letdown. Now that can easily be rectified. There's a regulation screw on these movements, a slight tweak on the time grapher, bang, away you go. But that shouldn't be my responsibility. That should have come a little bit tighter. Another main difference which I notice on both watches is the residue. This particular one here has that oxidizing vintage effect on it, the aging chemicals, and it's got residue on the handset, on the markers themselves, and that's quite standard. Whereas this one, it's pristine. It's absolutely perfect. This black dial is clean, there's no marks anywhere. It's what this would have looked like before they poured all the chemicals on it. And lastly, with both these watches, the Lume. Now this was a big surprise, because doing a comparison of the Lumes, the first thing that stands out is the handset on the black dial watch is so much brighter. However, the Arabics and markers on the Tropic has the slightest of edge in intensity and brightness. And as far as the inverted triangles at 12, they're exactly the same. So a little bit of a question mark there. I would have expected this to have much brighter Lume on the markers as well as the handset. The handset's fantastic, but the markers, this one here, just seems to have that edge, which is very strange. Now what are the gripes of the watch throughout the week? Well, as I mentioned, the screw pins on that Forstner bracelet was a little bit of a concern. It's niggly, it requires quite a bit of patience to get it right, so bear that in mind. Secondly, the fact that the watch is losing 22 seconds a day was a little bit concerning. I know we don't buy automatics for accuracy. They're a mechanical watch, I get it, but 22 seconds, 2 or 3 days later you're into a different minute, so that's a bit concerning. The crown on both watches I do not like. They're a mushroom crown, they're 5.3mm, very difficult to operate, but again, I mentioned that in the first video, so that's nothing new. And lastly, the Lume. The Lume is a little bit concerning because I really, like I mentioned, I would have expected slightly better Lume on that Arabics and markers on this black version. The hands are phenomenal, which is great, but the dial seems to be lagging that little bit behind. So in summing up, they're both excellent watches. I've enjoyed them. They're not without their flaws. I really enjoy this Tropic dial for me personally. I think it's oozing character, it's oozing personality. The excitement from when I reviewed the Tropic dial still is with me. I still enjoy the watch and I still think it's a nicer, more moody experience on the wrist. But then again, I'm comparing it to a standard black pure dial, which is practical, which is functional, which is, again, I compare that to the Rolex Explorer. Dare I say a little bit boring, but more true to form as what watches would have been made back then. More of a purist feel. But whatever your poison, guys, very nice pieces from Nivada. I think they're on a winner, whatever the case. Both of the watches coming in at $750 on leather or $950 on these bracelets. Not inexpensive, but then again, it won't break the bank either. Especially with the practicality and versatility of these pieces, I think you really can't go wrong. I hope you enjoyed that. A little bit of a comparison between these two watches. Nivada have released the black version through high public demand. You guys have asked for it. Here it is. So for me, I look at these watches as historical pieces that are not only affordable, but also bring a smile and some joy to the heart. Being able to experience these, albeit there might be a small wait time because they're both sold out at the moment. Leave me your thoughts in the comment section regarding this brand or these watches. And until next time, enjoy the watch that's on your wrist and have heaps of fun in this hobby. Thanks again, and we'll see you in the next video.